All right, folks, welcome back to the Plain Fun RC channel. I'm your host, Saul. We're shifting our focus now to the landing gear itself. Let's talk about what's in front of us at the moment. So the gear itself, let me grab another one here. The retracts, the Bayotech retracts, they come with these shafts, and these shafts are then supposed to go into the end of the retract right here, as you can see. However, as you'll notice, let me slip this in there, you'll see obviously that hole that's been milled out has been way too big. So went on Amazon, purchased some of the very thick hollow tube. I think that's probably about 2 or 3 millimeter wall thickness, very stiff, very sturdy. And you can see then we then take it and it's inserted into there. We're going to cut it, and then you'll notice that this fits very nicely in here, like so. So then that's how we're going to get that to fit. And then the thicker end, of course, as you saw a second ago, goes here. Then this end here then gets inserted into that end there. So that's what we're working on now, and so more to come. All right, folks, continue with our update here. We have gotten our inserts into the gear. You can see, if you look carefully, let me see if I can get it just right. There you go. You'll notice the hollow tube. There's the tube right there that we were working with. And anyway, you'll see there's the hollow tube right there, and then the insert goes into there. Keep in mind, these gear were cut for a different brand. They were not cut for these Bayotech landing gear. They were cut for a pneumatic landing gear, which is why the center was bored out much larger than the piece that comes with the Bayotech landing gear. That's what this piece is right here. So all we had to do really, it was pretty straightforward. You just go through, you've got a hole here and you've got a hole here, and when you insert the tube into the piece here, you're just going to hit it with a center punch on both sides, and then progressively, and you're going to use metric on this one, progressively you're going to go ahead and just gradually step up the bit from the smallest to the largest as you're drilling the holes through here. And finally we ended up with a 5 millimeter hole through here, and that worked perfect. Now 4.8 would be even better, but the 5 millimeter gives you just a little bit of play so you can turn the tube one way or the other, because you want this set screw to go in nice and easy so it's sitting nice and firmly against this part right here. So that's done. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to extend the gear, and then we'll go ahead and we'll insert the that part into there. So that's finished. The pods are dry. The epoxy for the pods. You can see here's our other pod here. This is what we did for this one, is we have that front portion up there, as you can see, where the epoxy is white, right in there. That's 5 minute epoxy. I went with that on this side rather than the 30 minute. 30 minute just ran too much, and it filled in that front gap and gave a little extra seal. So that's dry. We're going to mount the landing gear, and then after that we're going to go ahead and start focusing on the battery hatch and figure out what we're going to do there. All right, more to come. All right, folks, welcome back to the Plain Fun RC channel. It's Saul. We're continuing with our retract installation. So we've got our gear in place. I think the shaft here might be a little too long. I'm not going to go cutting anything yet until I get this installed on the plane. But I want to show you something. So these Bayotechs are really nice. These are electric, really high end. And you can get this optional unit. It's called the E-Test unit, and I encourage you to recommend it to you. At first, I wasn't sure how to set it up, and I was chatting with chatting with Michael at ACR Composites. It actually works quite well. So here's the lead going directly to the retract, and then here's our power source here. You can see it's just going to a standard Spectrum Life battery. Anyway, so it's really helpful because it does two things. One, you can actually use it to set up the retracts, but two, if you're looking to try to go ahead and close up the retracts, maybe because you're trying to pack up for the day or trying to get your plane in the car and you didn't want to break out your radio, you can actually just use this. Now, this has to be hooked up separately. So in other words, it's not something that's installed in the plane. It would be outside the aircraft. But anyway, here's how it works. I'm going to push this right here. Let me see. I may have to hold this up, but let's see how this works. Sorry. Well, that didn't work so well. Anyway, I got to hold on to it. Nonetheless, you get the gist. So it actually folds the retract up. So it's a helpful little tool. I encourage you to get it. And if you do get the Bayotech retracts, it's really worth it. It's not that expensive. I think it may have been like $29 or $39. But that's it. All right, more to come. All right, folks, continuing with our update here with regards to the landing gear. You can see that we've got our wonderful miter cutter here, which is actually working on removing that little extra. I purchased this from Micro Tools. I think that's the name of the website. And then we've got a wonderful little tabletop saw here as well. But anyway, let me show you what we're striving to do. You can see our retract over here. We removed the excess, and now you can see how it sits nice and flush. That's very important. The goal is when you're going to remove the excess, if you look very carefully, there's our jack screw right there. But look down inside there, and you'll see the top portion. It's down there in that little well. That is actually the top portion of the metal piece that we just removed. You'll notice how it does not come in contact. Let me turn to the side here. There we go. Notice the jack screw, and notice how it does not come in contact at all with that jack screw. That is the key thing you want to do, and you really want to try to get it so it sits nice and flush with that top portion down in there, which this is perfect, absolutely perfect. So a cutting wheel is what you're going to need. When you get these shafts that are included with the Bayotech retracts. They're very thick. Obviously, we have a Dremel cutting wheel, which is just perfect as well. Definitely get yourself a right angle if you have one for your Dremel. Makes doing these jobs a lot easier. Rather than holding the Dremel like this, you can hold it like that. It's much more comfortable, and it's easier to hold, easier to control as well. And we have a large cutting wheel here, as you can tell, which is what we're using over there for our miter cutter as well. All right, more to come. All right, folks, continuing with our update here with our ACR Composites Pond Racer. You can see our landing gear where you have shortened our other insert for the retract, and it is just absolutely perfect. So we got two great looking retracts, and we're going to go ahead and get these installed, and then from there on, we're going to go ahead and start looking at the battery tray. Figured how we're going to get that installed as well. So things keep marching along. More to come. All right, folks, welcome back to the Plain Fun RC channel. This is Saul, your host, and we're continuing on. Our landing gear is done. We have them mounted in place. There's 3 set screws. You can see them there. There's one down in there, one that's here, and then one that's here. And that comes with the landing gear when you purchase it. The only thing that we're waiting on is you're going to need 6mm stainless steel for the actual axle itself, and you have to have 5.5-inch wheels. The only place you're going to get 5.5-inch wheels is going to be from Dubro. So just purchase them there. So those will be installed later on. I thought I was going to install them, but I'm going to wait, and I'll tell you why. We are going to be moving on to the hatch, the battery hatch. Now, let me talk about what you're seeing here. As you can see, this is one of the pods. This is right set up. The pod over there is upside down. And so let me talk about what we're going to be doing. So I gave it a lot of thought, and obviously there's many different configurations after having done a number of different electric conversions on a number of different aircraft. The easiest thing to do with this one, and to ensure that there's structural integrity, is we are going to go ahead and lay in the carbon fiber like we did previously when we were fixing the bottom half down here. We're going to lay it in the top half up here, and then we're going to cut a hatch, but the hatch will be smaller than the patch that I'm making in here, okay? In other words, the width of the hatch is going to be basically the same width here. This hatch is here when you're going through and you're installing the plane. Now, the reason why you can't use this hatch to install is because there is a very large carbon fiber rod that goes, or tube that goes through here to hold the pods onto the center fuselage there, and then it also is used to hold the wings in place as well on the opposite side over here. So you can't pass a battery through there. I've already tried. The only option would be to go ahead and cut a hatch here. So to ensure structural integrity, the easiest way to do it is, as I mentioned a second ago, is to lay in some carbon fiber, cut a hatch that's smaller than the patch. This way the outer edges help to maintain that structural integrity. There's no loss of integrity whatsoever, and it makes it easier to get at the actual tray itself. Now, for the battery tray, we're going to go with these wonderful battery trays that are available from Gator RC. You can also get them from f3aunlimited.com. These will hold up to a 6S each, and they're fantastic. They're all laser cut, easy to assemble. But we're going to do something a little different here. We are going to go through and put 2 of them together in each of the pods. Now, the simplest way to do this of course, is just to put them together. And then the battery just goes right in the center like that. And this is a 7S that we're looking at right here. We're going to use one 7S, one 8S, so you're just talking an extra cell. So you just stack one on top of the other. And then these slots here are where the Velcro straps go through. Now, the way you hold these trays in place is that they come with 2 pieces of this wonderful carbon fiber rod. Very stiff, very sturdy. And these pieces here, they go on the sides of the fuselage to help provide support for the rod so it doesn't rip through the fuselage in the event of a hard landing. And they get epoxied in place. So the tray is permanently in place. And when it's in place, let me give you a rough idea what it'll look like. It'll look like that, as you can see. You see, so we're not gonna mount it dead center so it lines up with these holes here. We want to bring it down a little bit. That'll allow me to be able to access these nuts that are going to be back here to hold the firewall in place. I don't want it too low because I've got to leave room on the bottom for the ESC. But that's the basic configuration of what it'll look like when it's in. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to start with the carbon fiber first. I've got this one upside down, as you can see, and I've just laid in the carbon fiber just to get a rough idea what it'll look like. And I think this is going to work out fine. And then finally, to hold the hatch in place after that dries, we, of course, have our wonderful latches that are here. Oops. By Gator RC as well. There we go. And we'll put 2 of those. Simplest way of doing it is one will go on this side of the hatch, another one will go on this side of the hatch, and then that'll hold it in place. And to give you a perspective what that looks like, here's my Cessna 152. You can see the doors. We've got 2 latches there. One pulls one way, one pulls the other. It holds it very secure, very simple way of doing it. And then that'll put the hatch in place. So we've got to let this, we're going to put everything in place. We're going to put all the carbon fiber in place, let it cure. And then once that's fully cured, then we'll go ahead and start doing making our cut for our hatch. All right. To give you a perspective of the size, this is the hatch. This is the hatch cover. It goes on top of there. And so the width is basically going to match the width that you see here. And this gives you, this is the top edge, top portion right here. So this will fit very nicely, very securely in place. And then that'll be it. All right, more to come.